Come to the more you know. We're in Matthew, starting at chapter 5. So, chapter 5, verse 5, where he's speaking about meekness. Jesus is saying that when you claim nothing as yours, everything will be given to you. That's what he's meaning by that. In verse 7, merciful to forgive. The Aramaic concept of mercy is that it comes from our innermost being. The root word for mercy is the root word for room. Oh, that's cool. Because, you know, the root word from room. That's amazing. Because mostly, the only people that tend to forgive you would be your mother. You know, out of all the people, you know, the only person that seemed to have mercy on people would be the mother of somebody. You know, the only person who could actually care about this person who's done all these murders or the sin would be the only person that would ever love that person would be the mother. So to show mercy and have that from the root word room is pretty fascinating. Okay, verse 11, 5:11, chapter 5, verse 11. It is a meaning that we are to live in such a way that people have to lie when they speak evil of a believer in Christ. Now, on verse 11, let's go ahead and see what it is. It says, he goes where he's talking about how blessed are you when people insult you and you are made fun of and cursed at you for believing in God. That's basically what this is replying to. That the people, when they go to insult you and to speak evil about you, that you are walking in such holiness and righteousness that in order for them to talk crap about you, because you are walking the way you're supposed to walk, they're always going to be spewing out lies. So that's why you're not supposed to pay attention to the people that are doing that to you, because you know the truth will, first of all, the truth will always come out, and those who will also hate you for the sake of Christ, remember that they hated Christ first. And more than likely, the reason why they can't stand you because you have this anointing over you, because you have this Christ love on you, they're pretty much going to be talking a bunch of lies. And that's what it's referring to in here. But he's also saying that, you know, we are to live that way. That even if they do want to talk about us, everything that will come out their mouth will be a lie. Because there will be nothing about you when you're living as holy and as righteous as Christ that they can talk bad about you, because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're living a righteous life. You're being a holy person. There's nothing, they can't touch you pretty much. So in order to touch you and to make people hate you and to talk bad about you would always be, there have to be a lie. So that's basically what it's saying, that you should live that kind of a life. That everything that, anytime somebody says anything negative or lies about you would be nothing but lies. And when we get down to verse 13, when he's talking about you are the salt. Now, salt is not only a flavoring, it like enhances all flavors of kind of things. And I don't know if you know this, but if your coffee ever tastes bitter, if you just put a little small pinch of salt in there, it takes the bitterness right out of there. Trust me, I was like, oh, that's weird, and I did it, and it works. It works. But back to the Bible, in both Greek and Aramaic, this use a word that can mean either good for nothing or foolish. So when salt has lost its flavor, it means it's no good. How are you going to put salt on something and it's no longer the purpose of what it's meaning? But when he's referring to you are the salt of the earth in here, and that if it's lost its salt, it means same thing with keeping the lamp in your oil. Okay, if you have lost your flavor, if you're not staying in contact with God and keeping your close relationship with God, even though you're the salt of earth, you have then lost your flavor. You're a worthless seasoning. There's no purpose of you anymore. That's exactly what it's meaning to in this verse 5:13, when he's talking about the salt has lost its flavor. It's pretty much foolish. There's no point in it. So if you don't keep in touch with God and your relationship with Jesus and stuff, you're beginning to be a saltless person. And the reason why he's using that reference is because it says on here that Jesus is speaking of lighting a lamp. And in his day it was common practice in the time of Jesus to put salt on the wick of the lamp to increase its brightness. The salt of wisdom will make our light shine even brighter. Ooh, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Going to go make it. I know I could sit here and read a bunch of these, all these little ones. I'm just reading the ones that's highlighted. That's, seems to be direct importance, because there's some pretty good ones in here. That's like, oh wow, and not every single one of them. Some of them just keeps repeating themselves. So if you're wondering why I'm just skipping through, it's because a lot of them, most people understand what's being said, and it doesn't need to be, repeated. I'm trying to get to the ones that was highlighted that seemed the most important ones. Otherwise, I would have 20 million videos describing every single verse of the Bible if I was to do that, which wouldn't be nothing wrong with that, but I'm trying to just do the ones that just seem more, that people will find more interesting and would like to know. The Aramaic word for light, which is Noha, that's not even how I pronounce this, but it's Noohra, is often used as a metaphor for teaching that brings enlightenment and revelation into the hearts of men. So when they say that Jesus is the light, or anytime it refers to Jesus as being the light or light of the way, that's basically what is also implying, not only because he is the light, but it's an enlightenment and revelation into the hearts. And we can skip down to verse 22 in chapter 5. This verse is referring to about being angry, when not just being angry in general, but when another person makes a believer angry, to be more specific about it, not just actual anger in general. But in verse 22, it's mainly talking about the Jew without cause is making a believer. If you provoke a fellow believer to anger, or if you cause offense to the spirit of your brother, that's what it's referring to in verse 22, when he's basically saying, let me see if I can find it in here. But I'm telling you, if you hold anger in your heart toward a fellow believer, you are subject to judgment, is basically what it's saying. So when that person is provoking you without cause to make you mad, don't worry about them. Don't answer back. Don't give back angers. God will deal with them. God will deal with them. They will face their judgment because of that. So people who are randomly, purposely trying to provoke you, trying to make you be angry, purposely, they have their judgment day coming. That's basically what this whole verse 22 is replying to, which is from 21 in Matthew 5 all the way to verse 26 is all about anger. And he also, we're speaking about Harold in verse 22, because when it's talking about fire, the Gehenna of fire, and I'm going to spell that, which is Gehenna, that was referring to hell, and the hell on earth. And that place that they were speaking to, when they're referring to that in the Bible a lot, is actually a place where garbage was burned outside of Jerusalem. It became a figure of speech for hell in the days of Jesus. It's also a place in the site where they used to sacrifice children to the god of Moloch. So that's why I guess they refer to it as hell. Because, if you're sitting there burning babies, why wouldn't that be hell? That's got to be hell on earth. You're sitting there burning babies, you're burning the trash there. It's definitely not a place you want to be at. You definitely don't want to sit there and smell that smell, because not only got the trash smell, but the burnt flesh and the bodies and those poor babies. So yeah, that's definitely why they would call it that, hell on earth. Basically, is what they're referring to. But that place is what they refer to as figure of speech for the days of hell.